Hello and welcome to the first exciting action-packed. I'm sure you'll be the judge of that at the end of it, where we say that's the sign of things to come at the beginning. I don't know whether we should or not, but hopefully it'll be action-packed. First ever episode of Shelf Side Spurs. First of all, we'd better welcome our contributors today. Hopefully they'll be regular contributors. We're going around the screen as you can look at it on my right or left. So on my right or left, we have Jens. Right, Jens?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. How are you?
Yeah, Jens is currently living in Holland, so we thought we'd get him on today to give us a bit of insight into the new manager linked. One of the Dutch guys, obviously. How do you pronounce it? Jens' wife is
Ten Hag.
We'll see if we can get our heads around that one. We get the Cockneys saying that one. I'm not sure how that's going to go.
I think it'll be Ten Hag.
Yeah, Ten Hag. That's it. Yeah. 10 halves. 10 points.
Yeah, 10 points. No, but is Shelf Side there or is he gone?
He seems to have frozen actually midway through the stream. It's perfect, isn't it? He's obviously got himself some budget internet at home, Jens. he's been buying his internet off Daniel Levy, hasn't he?
Oh dear. Well,
it's just the two of us now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I can speak a little bit about Ten Hag. I can't say that I watch a lot of Dutch football, but I watched their match on Sunday against Alkmaar, and I have to say I was pretty impressed with the way they played. His tactics seem quite similar to Pochettino's. He likes to play with two strong centre-backs and then a defensive midfielder who then drops back into the defensive line to make it three centre-backs while the wingers and the wing-backs get forward. I'm not 100% sure if Eric Dyer is still going to be able to do what he did under Pochettino.
I was going to say, how do you think that would fit? How do you think that's going to fit with our current squad? I guess.
Yeah,
that's one of the big questions, isn't it? What can we do? Are we? Yeah. Would we be expecting to see some big changes if Ten Hag came in? 10 points.
Yeah. 10 Hag. Well, you'd kind of hope so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Because some of the players just don't seem like they want to be there. I've heard rumours that Harry Winks was kicking up a massive stink because he wasn't in the first team. When he gets a chance,
he's disgraceful. He's been disgraceful, hasn't he? Yeah, he's been. Yeah. I was a huge fan of Winks for a long time. I mean, I think every time I think of Harry Winks and I try to think back to his best games, you talk a few seasons back in the Champions League, and he absolutely dominated against Real Madrid in the Champions League. Yeah. If you look at the player that he seems to be now, it's the shadow of his former self, and that seems to be the story for a lot of our players.
Yeah, and that was a midfield of Winks and Sissoko, wasn't it?
It certainly was. Yeah, it certainly was.
Yeah, what has happened? I don't think the manager who's just left, I don't think he was really helping much. As everybody warned us, or a lot of people warned me, he's going to split the squad. He's going to upset people. And I was thinking, well, give him a chance. It's he says that he's a new person and he's got new ideas and stuff like that. And, at the start, it was nice. 6-1 against Man United. What was it, 5-2, 5-3, 6-3 against Southampton? We were actually knocking some goals in, and I thought, well, I can handle this. And then, it all kind of.
I think he certainly learned how to play the media better, didn't he? He certainly learned how to play that game a lot better. It seems though it was the same old thing behind the scenes, really. In the end, didn't it? Jose upsetting a few players. No one seemed to really come on under him. I guess that's with the exception of Harry Kane, who you could argue, I would probably argue that actually he would come on under any manager. He's probably learning to adapt his own game anyway. So I don't necessarily know that we can necessarily credit him with it. I don't think you can put all the blame on him. I mean, you've seen the protests recently with regards to Enoch. The big issue's been for years, hasn't it? We don't identify the right positions to actually strengthen in. For me, I mean, you get rid of one of your right backs and bring in nobody. You're hoping on Tanganga, Serge Aurier at right back. It's not a good enough position, is it? I mean, how many times this season have we've been in strong positions in games, and then you've got people like Davinson Sanchez, Serge Aurier give up a goal at the last minute in 80 minutes time or something like that. It's been crazy.
And as you say, we don't have the defence to sit back like we were against Mourinho. Like we were with Mourinho, that we'd score within 5-10 minutes and then sit back for the rest of the match. I mean, that's not the way we play. We've always been a attacking team. Oh, he's back.
We've had our own live stream anyway, John. We discussed a few things without you.
We've been slagging you off massively.
He can't even hear us. He's not even got his headphones in.
What have I missed? Have you appointed a new manager while I've been out of the room?
We haven't. We had a quick discussion about Ten Hag.
Is that
yeah, Ten Hag. Jens has given us a bit of a briefing on his style, what it might mean for the squad. John's actually run out of internet again. He
needs to put 50p in the meter.
I was going
Oh well, but saying that, I mean, when Pochettino came, it was all about fitness. It was all about pressing and attacking football. The defenders that we have, I mean, Sanchez. I always thought that Sanchez and Alderweireld would be a great pairing, because Sanchez has got the speed and he's got the strength, and Alderweireld's got the smarts. He's also got the strength. And so I thought they complement each other pretty well, but it seems that Sanchez has a brain fart in him almost every single game.
Yeah, which you can't afford at the highest level, can you? So that's been one of our biggest issues for me this season.
Yeah,
that centre back pairing, and you can see that the rotation that's happened throughout the year. We've got Eric Dyer, Toby Alderweireld, Sanchez. We've even slipped in Ben Davis in there even occasionally. Another player who good squad player to have. Obviously works hard. Obviously seems to understand the game. Always seems to be in favour of managers that come in. They always seem to respect him as a player, but ultimately, I don't think he's quite good enough physically. Not quick enough.
Yeah.
Causes a big problem. Lose a lot of the dynamic when he plays.
Yeah.
It's another position I think in the summer we're going to have to really look to strengthen. Obviously Reguilon, however you want to say it. He came in. Reggie. He started well. I thought had a good start. Everyone was got a lot of plaudits. He was out for a little while, wasn't he? I don't think he's necessarily rediscovered his form just yet.
No.
I'd take him. I'd take him for sure. I think if we can keep him for next season as well, I'd be more than happy. I'd be more than happy to take him on. I think we still need to strengthen further at left back as well. Yeah,
definitely. It'd be interesting to see. I mean, with the youth, a lot of people were raving about Dennis Serkin, but I don't think that he's going to be ready for next season. I think he's going to need a season out on loan.
Yeah,
I don't know what level. I personally haven't seen him play, but a lot of the youth team watchers on a forum I go are saying that he could possibly be a solution to the left back, but it's probably not going to be for another couple of seasons.
Yeah.
Davis, I've always respected him because I think he's a good pro, and he I'd say most games he gives you 100%, but as you say, he has definite limitations. Mm-hmm. And yeah, obviously it depends on how we want to play. If we want someone to sit back and defend, then yeah, okay. But we need our fullbacks, or when they're playing as wing backs, we need them to get forward, and we need them to be able to cross the ball and to be able to beat players. And that's
it's not something he's got in his lock. It's not something he's got in his locker, is it? And
no.
Yeah, you can't fault with a guy for that. He's got his limitations. He can only do what he can do, can't he? So it's ultimately down to Daniel Levy and whoever else makes those decisions at the club to try and get somebody in who's more dynamic.
Yeah.
So I guess I don't know what questions John had in line, but the first one we saw there was obviously who would you have in his manager? We've spoken a little bit about Ten Hag. Is there anyone else? If you seen anyone else linked, who would you actually be interested in?
Well, I've seen quite a few people linked. There's who was it? Potter from Brighton.
Oh, yeah.
And I have to say, I see certain similarities between him and Pochettino in regards to he was at a smaller club, and I think he's done a very good job with what he's got at Brighton.
Yeah,
he plays a nice brand of football, but yeah,
is that can you call that a step forward though? Are we stepping in the right direction if you're looking at people like Graham Potter? If we're looking at Brighton manager, I can't have that myself. It wouldn't be one for me. I don't think.
Steve Perryman had Potter on his radar for a while. I listened to his podcast, and because I think he went on loan when he was a youngster to Belgium or Holland, and Potter apparently he had been managing a club out there before he came back to England. So Steve Perryman was saying that he rates him very highly. All the reports he'd heard of him and stuff before he even sort of started doing well with Brighton. So he was on his radar then, but. As I say, he's gotten playing good football, hasn't he, with limited resources. So he's obviously stamped his authority on the team, and he's a good coach to get him playing like that, isn't he?
Someone who was mentioned in the past, I'd be interested. Eddie Howe. What do you think of that? What do you think of Eddie Howe?
Plays good football, doesn't he? Same. He always isn't it? Just go on, David.
The thing that I keep hearing is that we need a manager who is going to be able to control or have the respect of our star players.
Mate, if they didn't respect Mourinho, who's a renowned disciplinarian, how they're not going to respect? I guess that's what it means, isn't it? Like a Potter or a Scott Parker, or they're not going to. They've hung two managers out to dry, haven't they? So there's nothing to stop them hanging a young guy out to dry.
Yeah, we need a massive clear out. It's some of those players are earning an absolute fortune, and they stagnated. They've been there too long. They don't have the desire that I think
we're almost in the reverse position we were in 5 or 6 years ago, aren't we? We at one stage we were crying out for this big squad with a few extra players to complement our first 11. Now we've almost not got a strong enough first 11, and we've got this huge squad with people that are fighting out for places that aren't necessarily, not many of them are good enough. So I completely agree. A clear out's going to be needed. Unfortunately, I think we're more likely to lose some of our important players than we are to lose the ones that you'd kind of want to get rid of. You might want to get rid of your
Winks.
You were slow from that Winks Sissoko, but
the criticism of Pochettino, one of his shortcomings, which other people said, was that he didn't have a strong enough squad. Like you just said, his first 11 was good. But if you think about it, the players that weren't good enough in his squad are now our first 11, aren't they? Ben Davies, Sanchez, Aurier, Sissoko. The ones that were coming in which weren't good enough to improve our starting 11 are now our starting 11, and we wonder why we're struggling,
Yeah, for sure.
Have you discussed the Ten Hag. Is that how you say it? Den Hag.
So just imagine you're about to cough up a big greenie.
Yeah, give it one of those. Yeah, try and stop it. Do you watch any Dutch football out there, Jens?
Well, I was just saying to Adam that I watched their match on Sunday against the AZ to clinch the title, and I was impressed with the way that they play. His style seems quite similar to Pochettino. And I think he'd be a good shout because he's really, he really turned him around since he arrived.
Is it him or is it the players? Because they're kind of ingrained in that Ajax way of playing, aren't they? So he's always got a conveyor belt of good players coming through who know what they're doing. Has he put his stamp of authority on that team at all, or is it just the Ajax brand?
I think two seasons ago, they had probably their best group of youngsters come through in a long time, with Van der Beek and De Jong and De Ligt, all those guys. And so, yeah, obviously that helped out a lot. But, when they went to Real Madrid, everyone thought they're a young side. They're going to get their asses served to them. And it was the other way around. So I think that, if you're a young player, you're going to look towards your manager for guidance. And I would say that he's definitely has the ability, and also he's got the authority at the club, and people respect him. Yeah, that could obviously change in North London. You don't know. Yeah. Has
he got that old monkey off his back though? The one that the stick that we get hit with all the time. Has he got the trophy under his belt?
Oh yes, he has. Yeah. They won the cup this year and the league, so they've done the double this year. Season. Last season they won the championship. I think they got beaten in the semi-finals. That sounds familiar. And so yeah, he's definitely I couldn't tell you how many cups he's won, but he's won a fair few. And obviously for Ajax are a great team, but they're not one of the big financial powerhouses in Europe. And for them to get to a semi-final, same as for us, was
what will Levy want though? Will he want top four or trophies? Will he accept a League Cup if we don't get top four again next season? Let's flip it on to you guys. If it was up to you, and you've got the choice of either winning the League Cup next season and finishing sixth, or no pots and top four again, what would you go for, Davos?
League Cup. Any other cup but the League Cup?
League Cup. Just a League Cup and finishing sixth, or top four.
Top four. I have no. I've seen us win a League Cup. I was watching the Tottenham game, the cup final the other day. We're in a cup final, and I'm sat in the living room. A little bit of excitement. Ultimately, was I that ecstatic? Was I planning to go out on a running around the town naked when we score the winner in the 90th minute? No, not really. League Cup, it's not something that excites me. I think we've got to build bigger than that, to be honest.
And this is coming from the man that was punching the wall at my house in the semi-final of the Champions League, saying, "Why do you have to do it to us every time, Tottenham?" When we were at 3-0 down, and he's pretty much slitting his wrist and giving up on the team. And I was like, "Come on, there's 30 seconds left. We've still got chances. And the Man City game before that, was as well, wasn't it? You were like punching my wall then as well, saying, "Why? Fucked it up again, Tottenham, and what yours up?"
It's your hand.
No. Huh? My wall wasn't. My wall wasn't. I moved out now, so it's all right.
I don't think it inspires passion. Let's put it that way. The League Cup, it's not a big enough trophy for me.
If you win the League Cup, you're still going to get your Gooner and your Chelsea mates going, "Right, it's only the League Cup, aren't you?" If you win it twice, it's only 2 League Cups. If you win the FA Cup, you've only won 1 FA Cup in 20 odd years. You've only won 2 FA Cup. It's not going to shut them up, is it?
No, I mean, it's like with the Gooners. They seem to win the FA Cup every year, and everyone still laughs at them.
Yeah, so exactly. That's the winning mentality argument, isn't it? You need to win a trophy to get the winning mentality. Well, they've won the FA Cup. Was it 2 or 3 times? in a row or whatever. Yeah. And now did that winning mentality work out for them? They're still mid-table fodder, aren't they? It hasn't worked at all, really. Yeah. Yeah. It's just bragging rights for fans, isn't it? It's just bragging rights for fans.
Yeah.
And the same question. Would you, new manager comes in, regardless of who it is, top 4, no trophies, or a League Cup and 6th?
Yeah. I think if you'd asked me this question before COVID, I would have said League Cup because I want trophies. But now we need top 4 because we need that money, because we don't have the money coming in from the fans, etc. The days at the stadium. And we need a rebuild. We need new players. So I go I'll go Champions League.
Yeah, we've got to, haven't we? I mean, that's financially, we need that. If you look at the winners of the League Cup and the FA Cup over the last 10 years, it's all the top 4 teams, isn't it? They've got the bigger resources, the better squads, which ultimately comes from the prize money they get from that. So if we're going to have to rebuild, which we are, I think that's going to be an avenue to that, isn't it? Which leads us on nicely to one of my questions, actually. Let me just find it for you, boys. Did you cover the Ten Hag situation in full while I was having technical difficulties?
Situation?
Yeah. Did you discuss the other managers? Any managers you do want? Let's flip it on you there, David, again. Which manager, ideally, if you had an open checkbook, Levy had an open checkbook to go out and get any manager in the world, who would you go out and get tomorrow?
Any manager in the world? So we're just assuming everyone's available.
Everyone's available because you've got a blank checkbook. He's going to come. You pay him double what Mourinho was getting.
Wow. There's where the issue lies with the board. We've had good managers. We've brought in big managers already. We've had so many of them. Where do you go next? Is it something? Is it a project? I think we need. If you want to have any chance of keeping Harry Kane, it has to be a name that excites. It has to be a name that excites. And if you want to have any chance of keeping the best players in our squad, it's got to be an exciting name. Who is that?
Let me give you one caveat there. You can't have Pep Guardiola because that's a given. Obviously, we'd all want Pep Guardiola, the football he plays and whatnot. So you can't have him. So one other person.
I'd have had Nagelsmann if I had any choice. If I had any choice, I'd have had Nagelsmann. That would have been my choice. I've got to say, I didn't know much about Ten Hag. I didn't know much about him. Having heard a little bit more from Jens there, then it seems more of a viable option than it was before. But I'd have had Nagelsmann, I think, of the managers that are kind of available.
He's in the last 12 months of his contract as well, so Levy won't have to pay as much compensation.
He's gone.
He's signed with Bayern, hasn't he? So
not Nagelsmann. I can't say his name. Ten Hag.
Sorry.
We're going to go 10 pints.
Yeah, so he's perfect for Levy, isn't he? He plays good football. He works with youth players, and he's available fairly cheap. I imagine the third of those is what Levy is mainly attracted to.
Definitely. Yeah.
Jens, same question.
George Graham.
Who, the man in the waistcoat? The man in the waistcoat.
Yeah.
Sol Campbell deserves a job, doesn't he?
Well, he's one of the greatest minds in football, isn't he? So
too right, mate.
If anyone can turn us around, he can.
I'm pretty sure that our boat cleaner is on furlough, so maybe he can come in voluntarily.
Do you know who I'd get? I'd go on Jens. Finish off.
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't really thought about it. I wouldn't want that gurning German from Liverpool, because I'm sure he plays some nice football. But then again, he's done exactly the same at Liverpool as he did at Dortmund. His team's burnt out after 3 seasons, and he hasn't replaced them. Big Sam.
Keep us up here on, yeah. Well, you say that, but when we linked with a couple of English lower league managers earlier, this Sean Dyche, weren't we? And
Yeah.
Who else was someone else? I can't think of who it was. There's a couple of English managers down the bottom of the table there.
I'd like someone who understands Tottenham. If we can find somebody who understands Tottenham, I don't.
What's Rafa van der Vaart doing?
That perfectly leads me to my choice, Davos. If it was up to me tomorrow, I'd go out and get Pochettino back.
I thought about Pochettino. He's on a short contract with PSG, isn't he? I do wonder whether if they fail in the Champions League, if they start the next season badly, whether that will last.
I said on their Bob Spurs pod last night, you got Mourinho free, you got Zidane with the French link, who's obviously always there or thereabouts with falling out with the Real Madrid board. Bomb them off to PSG, especially if he loses next week to Man City. I don't think they're looking like they're going to win the league either. Apparently, they're like second in the league. Apparently,
yeah, they are. Yeah,
trailing. Is it Lille? They're trailing Lille. Yeah. So it could be that Pochettino is looking for a job in the summer. Harry Redknapp apparently has given it all large that he knows who the new manager is. Daniel's already sorted it out and it's already appointed for next season. It's all a done deal and whatnot. So it's obviously someone that's still in the job, isn't it, at the moment? So Levy's on such borrowed time with everyone, all these protests, and everyone really hating him after the Mourinho era. So that's one thing he could do to try and bring the fan base back on board. But I think there'll be some idiots that wouldn't want him back, isn't there? Did you get that impression that there'll be the idiots at the end that were moaning for him to go, they wouldn't really want him back?
So it's the same question. He's still going to be hit with the same stick he was hit with before. He's gone to PSG, still failed to win. If he doesn't win the Champions League, he doesn't win the league with PSG. That same stick's going to be getting whacked even harder than it was before. If you can't win a trophy with Tottenham, fine. I'm going to go to a club who win trophies every single season. He goes there and they won that nonsense trophy, didn't they? But it's going to be the same stick. I think there would be fans, that wouldn't be too happy with that appointment.
Yeah, I get that impression as well. I mean, sometimes it's better the devil you know. I bet they wish they hadn't have been so quick to ask to pull the trigger. I mean, I never wanted him to go in the first place. I mean, I think he'd earned a bit of patience, hadn't he, after turning the club around, bringing us all together, the fans and the players and everything. First rocky start he got. And I always say to you, Davis, that first half against Bayern, even though we got dicked, was it 7-2? Yeah. 7-2. We were all over him first half, weren't we? It was like the old Pochettino team. We played some beautiful stuff. Sonny scored, didn't he? And we were knocking it about nicely. And it's just bloody Aurier, wasn't it, Davis? Serge Aurier not tracking back time and time again.
Never heard that one before.
Winks had a good game in that one as well.
He was left out. He, to be fair, he was cut out to dry there, wasn't he? He was on his own in that midfield. Yeah. I mean, chasing around like a headless chicken. He's quite good at chasing around like a headless chicken, but he was kind of left to his own devices a bit there, wasn't he? They were tracing on old ground. So let's. Did you actually answer there, Jens? Who would you take? So Davos has gone for Neighbours, and I've gone for Pochettino. If Sam Allardyce isn't available, if there's a pint of wine to be drunk somewhere and he's not available, who are you going for?
That Rangnick geezer.
I haven't heard a lot about. Yeah,
he's. I've heard a few things about how he likes to work with youth. He likes to work with a director of football. I would have loved if we'd been able to get that Campos guy from, was it Leon or who used to work, who apparently. Oh no, he's Lille, isn't he? He apparently found so many young players and cheap players from nowhere and turned them into great players.
Yeah, Eden Hazard was one of theirs, wasn't he? I think.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, but to be honest, I'm not really sure, but I'll put that.
It doesn't really matter who the manager is. It whilst that clown Levy's there, does it really? He's not going to back anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
He was such a Mourinho fanboy, wasn't he? That was his number one target. He'd always wanted to work with him. You know, he went all out to get him several times over the years, and he didn't even back him properly, did he? So, what chance has anyone else got? What chance has anyone else got?
He was 10 years too late there, wasn't he?
Yeah. So, Okay, so let's move swiftly on to our next question. Davos, I'll give this one to you first. Are you ready for this? These boys haven't seen these questions, so it's going to be hitting blind with them. Jens has got a bit more time to think about his answer than Davos, but I'll hit Jens with the next question first up as well. You ready here, Davos? What does Daniel Levy realistically do to keep Harry Kane?
Easy, leave. No other answer is there. Leave.
Failing.
What's the other? I don't understand what else you can do. Harry Kane says he needs to know that we're moving forward. Ever since Harry Kane's been at the club, we've had the same thing. We've had different manager. We've had the most successful manager, or one of the most successful managers in history, in charge of the club, who's then been sacked after 18 months. What's going to inspire? Harry Kane says he wants to know that we're moving forward. The only thing that says we're moving forward is if we sell the club to somebody, or moving in a different direction even, is that if the club is sold or moved on to a different, under the charge of somebody else, somebody who has a different vision for the club. And I'm probably one of the few Tottenham fans actually who I don't have a huge problem with the job that ENIC's done. I actually think they've done a very good job over their time. I grew up in an era where Tottenham weren't a great team at all. We were 12th, 11th. We were just hoping to get through to a semi-final of a cup or something, and we were absolutely ecstatic about that. That was how I grew up. Since ENIC had taken over, they brought the club on tremendously. What I think they failed to do is they can't take it that final step, because they're running it as a business. The only way at the moment, how can you compete with Barcelona, I say Barcelona, they've got their financial fair play things going on at the moment, but Barcelona, Manchester City, PSG, look at the quality of that game that was produced last night. Why was that? Because there's £1 billion worth of talent on one pitch. Right now, the ownership at our club, whilst they could afford to invest a hell of a lot of money, that's not the business model they've set up for. And ultimately, it might not be something that we want at Tottenham. So we've got to really think about what we are wishing for as Tottenham fans as well, I think.
So an accountant, you can tell he's an accountant, can't you, Jens? But yeah, it's definitely a glass ceiling with ENIC, isn't it? But there's been a few times, as we know, over the years where they have the opportunity to put a bit of icing on top of the cake, and they haven't taken the opportunity, have they? That Redknapp year when they brought in Ryan Nelson and Lewis Zaha when we were flying that year, weren't we? Pochettino needed a couple of key players and he added to him. They just haven't taken it. But it's his money pinch, isn't it? We often end up with our second and third target, but he's like a snake, isn't it? The whole club is poisoned by him. You need to cut his head off for the rest of the snake to recover. If you know what I'm on about, I'm talking rubbish.
I don't think that's our snake. I don't think that's the right saying, John. But we'll
no. The only way you kill a snake is cut its head off, don't you? Because the rest of the Jens, what does Daniel Levy realistically do to keep Harry Kane? And don't use any snake analogies because they don't work.
That's a good question. I think they need to put up or shut up. They've, as Dove has said, we've got a billionaire owner sitting in his island in the Dominican Republic or whatever, and we're penny pinching over buying a player. Who was it? Grealish. I think we were penny pinching over 5 million.
Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, exactly. It's everyone was saying, "Oh, Lo Celso's better." Well, I'm sorry. Maybe at the start he looked okay, but what's happened to him now? He's Ndombele. Surely they could have done some scouting on that shows, or his old coach has gone online as saying the guy doesn't have enough desire. He's got all the talent in the world, but he really couldn't care less.
He dropped out through the leagues, didn't he, when he first became a pro, and he was in sort of non-leagues. And then when he got to Tottenham, he got that big contract. Then and he hasn't got the desire. He thinks he's made it, and he's there.
Yeah, but they need to put the money in. They need to buy. I think the squad needs a massive overhaul. 2 new centre backs, new left back, new right back. In fact, let's just say 11 players. Because I'm not 100% sure how long Sonny or Kane are going to stick around. But yeah, obviously that's part of the question. So sorry, I'm rambling. But they need to. He needs to show that he really they really want to do something. And I think that with the stadium, Kane was kind of believing that we were going to get there. And then with Mourinho as well, he was thinking, oh, yeah. But now it's kind of turns out that they sacked Mourinho before the cup final because they wouldn't have to pay him a large bonus or something. And so Kane's thinking, well, what is going on?
Trophies mean that little to you.
They don't have he doesn't have the ambition. He's just happy to compete. He doesn't want to win.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
That leads me nicely onto my next question, Jens. And you've got I'll give this one to you first, but then Davos can have a little think about this one. You ready? Would you sell Sonny if it meant keeping Kane?
Yes, definitely. As Heung-min Son, I think, is a great player. Seems to be one of the nicest blokes in football. But to me, he has purple patches and then he goes off the boil for too long. I don't think he's consistent enough. As I say, I like the guy. And when he's playing, I mean, that goal against Burnley, that's probably one of the greatest goals I think I've ever seen in my life. Unfortunately, I gave my ticket to my brother that day. So
on the bright side, he probably didn't see it either. Just really pissed, wasn't he?
But I'd like to see him be a bit more consistent. You can argue that, he scores us enough goals and stuff like that, but he hasn't shown in the big games for me. In the cup final, what was he doing? I think he tried to take on Walker once, and then he just gave up. He I don't know what. One of his back passes, I think that almost.
It's up Toby, didn't he? Yeah.
If it meant keeping Kane, I would definitely sell some.
Davos, same question.
Same answer. Yeah, for sure. I think Kane is irreplaceable in the world. I can't think of another striker in the world that I would want in the team ahead of Harry Kane. That includes Robert Lewandowski. That includes Erling Haaland. That includes any striker in the world I wouldn't have ahead of Harry Kane. Sonny has an incredible fan base. I don't think Tottenham will ever sell him because of the amount of money that he brings into the club through his own fan base. So I don't think selling him would, unless there was an incredible offer came in, which there hasn't ever been, as far as I'm aware. No one's ever been that interested in having him. I don't think we will ever sell him. I know that's not the question. I don't think we would sell him, but yes, I would do. I think we'd get a very good price for him, and I think around Kane is an area that we could do with having a rethink to support in the way that we support Kane. We haven't really replaced the way Eriksen. We haven't really got anyone in there to do that job right now, and I feel like we've got some really good attacking players, but right now they're not knitting together that well. And I think that an overhaul around Kane might even help him to thrive even more as well. So yeah, I would sell Sonny. And he's been a brilliant player for us. I don't particularly want to, but yeah, the answer is yes.
No, I don't think we should, because our nephew would never forgive us, would he? He loves Sonny. Yeah. So I guess I can't like you guys. So I can't really see him selling Sonny because of his commercial benefit to the club. Yeah. The amount of South Korean fans that it brings him. You see all the flags around the stadium, don't you? And the build-ups to the games and everything. They must spend a fortune in and around the ground as well, online as well. Look at the Sissoko stitch up with the Player of the Year a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
the Player of the Year. We all thought it was a done deal for Sissoko. Literally, I think Sissoko thought it was a done deal as well when they announced the Player of the Year. And then obviously all of the memberships that they'd sold in Korea, they'd all voted for Sonny, hadn't they? So literally, when the guy announced it, I think you were there as well, weren't you, Dad, wasn't he?
Yeah, I was, yeah.
We were expecting him to say Musa Sissoko, and he's like, Heung-min Son, and we were like, look at each other going, hey, really? Sissoko on that, didn't he? It just goes to show how far he's fallen as well, doesn't it, Sissoko?
Yeah. I don't think he really ever, in my opinion, he never really had it, but he was reliable at one point, wasn't he? You know, you could rely on him to run and
carry the ball.
Be a bit of muscle in the midfield. I think, to be honest, when Aurier came, that's when his downfall came in, because he had to cover for Aurier constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's, the game against Bayern we were talking about earlier. That's why Winks was alone in the midfield, because Sissoko had to cover for Aurier. I mean, you should never have a defender who has to have a midfielder babysitting him. That is...
And nothing's changed, has it? Because on the cup final on Sunday, that is exactly why I think Ryan Mason put Sissoko on, wasn't it, to protect him, so he could leave Gareth Bale high off the right, and he knew that Aurier would struggle on his own there, so he needed Sissoko to help
and if you have got a babysitter, then you best be putting in 1 assist a game, or you best be assisting at least once in every 2 games and causing absolute chaos up that wing. It's not something that he does for me either, not regularly enough. Puts in some fantastic crosses occasionally, some awful ones as well.
Maybe 1 in 6, 1 in 6. Yeah. Right, so let's move on to the next question now. I think we agree that we would sell Son if it meant keeping Kane, but that's more to do with our regard for Kane, isn't it, rather than our disregard for Sonny.
Yeah.
Who's that for the question? It's back of the Dovers first, isn't it? The end gets a bit of a look-see at this one.
Probably for you, this one, isn't it, John?
Yes.
Dovers, would you give Gareth Bale a second season on loan?
I was discussing this with somebody earlier on today, actually. And I think if you take Gareth Bale for what you'd expect him to be coming back at 31 years old without a huge amount of desire, it depends on the money that you have to pay for him, of course. But I think if he'd come into a team that was relatively successful, if we were playing well and he'd just supplemented the team with a few goals and the performances, because he has put in 7 or 8 really good performances this season. He's scored some really good goals. He's scored some important goals. I think had we not been having such a bad season, you'd be talking about him having been a good addition. Would I have him on loan for another season? Go back and see him play again? Yeah, I would. I'd like to get some fans in there behind him and see whether that made a difference. But it would have to be on the basis. Obviously depends what we do with the squad.
There's a big cheer on Sunday, wasn't there, when he came on? I forgot the fans were there until I heard that moment. It was nice of them to be able to see Bale in a Spurs shirt again.
Yeah.
Jens, same question. Would you give Gareth Bale a second season on loan?
Yeah, I would, but I don't think that I'd want to pay him 250 grand or whatever he's on. Because he hasn't turned up in any of the big games this season, has he? It's okay when he's playing relegation fodder. It's a bit like Mora, he scores hat-tricks against Huddersfield.
They're important 3 points as well, though, Jens.
Yeah, that's true.
If you can't beat those teams, which sometimes you struggle unless you've got these quality players in your team.
Well, we thought that would be his role, didn't we, when he first came? Because we didn't think he'd start against the bigger teams because he doesn't do his donkey work and trap back, does he? But we thought he'd be there to when teams are parking the bus and we need to break them down. He's got that little bit of magic in his left peg, and so we thought that's what his role might be.
I think his wages would be better spent elsewhere. If we could do a deal, Daniel Levy, and maybe get him to reduce his wage request, but otherwise, not 100%.
Can you imagine the Real Madrid president's probably more disappointed than Gareth Bale with this form, and he's thinking, oh God, Daniel Levy's going to try and do a deal and try and get a discount on the second year, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's hoping he has a good game.
Or even, oh God, he's coming back.
Yeah. Which is the worst. Dear me, mate. I think also you've got to consider commercial reasons again there, haven't you? Because you think all that merchandise that Daniel Levy must have got in the club shop, which no one's been able to get into, to have a look at all that Gareth Bale merchandise. I bet he's got a job lot just sitting there in that club shop, and he can't get rid of it if he doesn't sign him for another year. So he's going to have to balance that up with what it's going to cost him.
Yeah, I think it comes down to the wages. To be honest with you, I agree with you. I agree with Jens in that regard. If Gareth Bale says he's taken some big criticism, hasn't he, for the way that he phrased why he came to Spurs, in terms of he just wanted to stay fit for the
Mourinho, wasn't it? Really
possible. But I think if he would come to Spurs and say, well, I'll cut off my contract with Real Madrid, I'll come to Spurs and I'll get paid 150 grand a week for this year, and showed some desire in that regard, showed that he actually did want to be here, so that it's not a romance novel that's just been written by the media and he's going along with for the sake of it, then I think I'd take that. But that's probably the circumstance in which I would take him, for sure.
Yeah. And if he comes back to England, then he gets to play golf at Harewood Downs, doesn't he? So
there's talk. I think the Spurs are on about building a golf course on their new training ground, aren't they? That was some of the leaks in the paper. Honestly, they've already got like a 9-hole, I think, pitch and putt there, but they've actually on about building a proper golf course on the land surrounding it as well.
Yeah.
So maybe that was part of the contract for him to come back. Who knows? I suppose it depends how he goes in the Euros as well. I don't know if he wins with Wales, he's going to have even less. Well, he's not going to win the Euros as he with Wales. He would have thought. Did Denmark qualify, Jens?
Yes, they did. Yeah. We've got some half decent players coming through. Actually, there's one guy at FC Copenhagen who I think we should take a closer look at. A guy called Jonas Wind.
Yeah.
Wind, basically. He's played, I think, 4 internationals, scored 5 goals. Wasn't against any of the bigger sides. A couple of, I think it was one was against Austria. They're not a bad side. Unfortunately, I think that he's not one of those ones that you can get on the cheap now, because he seems to be quite well known. Another guy called Skol Larsen. He looks good, and they're both 20, 21. Vind plays more I think he's a central. He's played as a central attacker, but Skol Larsen's a winger, and he's pretty rapid and got a good delivery.
Who's the guy at Fulham that everyone's raving over, the centre back? Is he Danish?
Anderson. Well? Anderson. Yeah, he looks good. I think we were interested in him before he went to Fulham on loan.
Yeah.
I remember hearing something. Is he Sampdoria or Fiorentina?
Not too sure. It's similar to the Alderweireld situation, isn't it? Someone else has paid for his trial run on loan, and Levy will probably try and negotiate direct with the parent club. And
I've also thought that Vestergaard at Southampton looks quite good.
There's lots of talk in the papers over here, Jens, that were after him as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously the Højbjerg link and Ericsson obviously speak. You'd think, I don't know if Ericsson does speak highly of us. I saw he tweeted out the other day wishing us good luck in the cup final. But
yeah. And there's Alan Nielsen as well, who absolutely loves us to bits. I think he's involved in the international setup in Denmark. So I think that'd be nice.
Speaking of Alan Nielsen, I was saying to my dad the other day, how many years has it been? So the 2 League Cups maybe in the last 24 years?
Yeah, it was 99, wasn't it?
99
against Leicester,
22 years coming up. Of those 2 victories, I missed one of them, because the Alan Nielsen one, I was watching the final in the pub with my dad, and it was literally the 89th, where it's injury time pretty much, when it 0-0. So I went to the bar, up the Pheasant, the Amersham, was facing the barman ordering the drinks when Alan Nielsen scored the goal. So one of the 2 only League Cup victories in the last 21 years or whatever, and I actually missed the moment that he scored that one. So I haven't even really had that one. I don't overly remember the Woodgate one, but that was probably more to do with being worse for wear at the time, I imagine. Do you remember that, Douglas?
Yeah. I do.
Any recollection of the Woodgate one where you watched it?
I can't actually remember. No, I don't actually remember, to be fair. that's how long ago it was, and it's a sad time, isn't it? When you can't remember the only time in your life
fleeting moments that we've had. Jens, can you remember where you watched that Woodgate one?
Oh yeah, of course. It's like when President Kennedy died. I was watching it in the church up in Muswell Hill. It's a pub with I think it was a Firkin or a Wetherspoons or something.
Yeah,
they had a big screen full of Spurs fans. And let's just say I was a bit nervous, so I decided to drink pints with chasers. And I don't know how I got home that night, but I think I did, and woke up with a nice big cut above my eye, so that's good.
Good celebration. Seamlessly moving on from the Denmark tour. What about this little question? I've got a little gem for you here, Jens. Are you ready? It's just a Jens specific question, although Davies, you can answer it as well, of course. Would you make a secret pact with the devil, which meant that Denmark won the next World Cup, but it meant that Spurs would never win the league again? You don't have to tell anyone. No?
No way. I've got 92, mate.
Yeah.
That's good enough for me.
Yeah.
That is good enough for me. No way. I mean, I love the Danish international team, but club before country every time.
Tend to agree. Davies, same question, but with England in there, would you make a secret pact with the devil, which meant England won the next World Cup? It meant Spurs never won the league.
No, it's always club before country for me.
It's gone that way, hasn't it? Completely over the last few years. Completely.
Correct answer.
86, 90. Right, so we're coming up for the hour mark, so we'll hit one last big question and I'll let you boys get on with your evening. Thanks for joining us tonight and whatnot. It's quite a big question, so it might take a lot of talking about. What went wrong this season? Open-ended question. Davies has pulled a face there, so let's go.
What went right?
I think it all boils down to our defence. That's the be all and end all of it. Mourinho was always going to come. Or lack thereof. Mourinho was always going to come in. He was always going to want to try and shore up that defence after the first few months. He came in obviously doing what he could with the squad. Just let us play and do our thing for a while, which is why we were getting those crazy results towards the end of last season. Over the summer, we had a few jobs in which that were papered over by. We needed to get a right back. We needed a right back desperately. We needed 2 centre backs probably, and the best thing that we got was Joe Rodon, who looks like he might be a decent talent. But that was never going to be an option for this season. It was never going to be an option that was ready for this season, and we've been left with people who are too prone to mistakes. How many times? I mean, we've dropped 20 points from winning positions this season, and you can blame tactics for that. But Mourinho has done that in the past for 5, 6, 7 clubs, and that's because he's had players that he's had reliable players at the back to. Once you get that lead, they sit there and they're absolutely confident going to keep that lead. We conceded 3 goals in 10 minutes to West Ham. 3 goals in 10 minutes to West Ham. That's where it is. It's the defence, and it's 2 or 3 members of that back line that they're too prone to errors.
I think that's what Mourinho was getting at. His veiled comments in the press, isn't it? That same manager, different players, tried everything he can, but they just switch off mentally.
I mean, why buy Doherty and then play him as a fullback? When he was at Wolves, when he was most successful, he was playing as an attacking wing back. I believe they play with 3 centre backs, so there's someone always covering him when he's bombing up the wing. But then you play him as a fullback sometimes, or if you do play him as a wing back, he's not really. It didn't seem to see much of the ball. It was like the idea was that we were going to have Serge Aurier charging on, and Davis was going to stick back and drop into the central defence. And then I think that all fucked up that all messed up when we got Reggie on. that all messed up when we got Reggie. And then I don't think he really knew what to do with it. And some of Doherty's performances this season have been some of the worst defensive performances I've seen in a long time.
There was talk of a fallout with Mourinho, wasn't there? That he'd have
budget option again, though, isn't it? It's budget option. It's a Levy option, a budget option. He's gone. Well, he's a reasonable player. We can get in when we're trying to build a squad that's capable of going into the top 4 and beyond the top 4. Look at every other team in that top 4. Which team actually goes after Matt Doherty? Let alone puts him into the squad in the first team. Who goes after Matt Doherty there?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah, I think you were buzzing after that first 45 minutes at Everton, though, weren't you? When he did that little run, and the first 5 minutes went beyond the wing.
Yeah,
we're like, we've got a good player here, didn't we? Yeah. And it made Aurier up his game, didn't it? If nothing else, temporarily.
Yeah.
Just didn't really work with Ben Davies, did it?
No.
Gentle Ben, poor old Gentle Ben. I call him on the Fighting Cock podcast.
We did speak about Ben Davies slightly earlier, and I think you've got to respect Ben Davies. He does give you everything that he can each game. He just has his limitations, and he should never be playing a long spell of games in the Tottenham side. He's a squad player who can come in, give you a good solid defensive performance when you need it, come off the bench, and you're probably not going to get to any sort of ricks out of him. But he should never be starting 7, 8, 9 games for us in a row if we have any ambitions of being at the top.
Yeah.
So can you imagine
season, a few years ago?
Go on, Jens, after you.
Yeah. Can you imagine a few seasons ago we had the best left back and right back in the division. Carl Walker, Danny Rose, absolutely amazing. I remember last day of the season, I think it was against Leicester when we tore them apart 6-1.
Yeah.
That football was
season,
that season was amazing.
Fitting tribute to the end of the line, wasn't it? Really, you knew when you turned up every game that we were going to win, didn't you?
Yeah,
it wasn't even in doubt. You knew the team that he was going to play as well. We could probably all name the 11 now, couldn't we? And that was continuity as well.
Yeah.
Bring back Moussa Dembele.
Quality player. I still think if we'd have kept him, that again, Levy, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's one of the worst decisions he has made, I think, to be honest.
I mean, selling him when he could probably play one game a fortnight. If we'd have had him in that Champions League final, I'd have fancied it. Whenever Moussa Dembele was playing, I fancied us to win a game of football because he was such a great player, wasn't he? Strong, held onto the ball in tight areas. Yeah. That Champions League final, who knows what might have happened if he hadn't taken that deal from the Chinese club to get a bit of a transfer fee for him rather than letting him go in the summer. I think that Poch got the needle with that as well, didn't he? That was one of his, because he wasn't going to get a replacement in, was he?
Yeah.
Right, last couple then, boys. Best buy last summer. Who's the best signing we've made?
Oibia.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Got a question,
slightly biased, being of Danish descent. And obviously, following up from that, worst buy last summer.
Doherty.
Big Doc.
Yeah, I agree. Doherty.
Right, a nice fun one to leave you boys to enjoy your evenings with tonight. You ready, boys? Jens, this one's to you first. It's a big
I think to be honest, Daniel Levy, because it would take less piss. Because he's only little.
He's only tiny, isn't he? That was the same question.
I don't have as big a passionate hatred for Daniel Levy as most. So yeah, Daniel Levy. We never a fan of Sol Campbell. We don't like to play him.
You want him to come out like Anakin Skywalker, a burnt sort of version of Daniel Levy. Oh dear. Right, last question then. Last question. This is to you, Jens.
It's those eyes.
I don't know if you're pro Lamella or anti Lamella, to be honest.
I'm pro Lamella. I think there's a great player in there. He just runs around like a headless chicken most of the time.
chaos.
But yeah, it's. I don't know if you've ever seen The Many Eyes of Eric Lamela. I think he's possessed. Seriously, he's got an interesting stare on him. Let's just say. No, I think he's got everything that it takes. I would say to be an absolutely brilliant footballer. He's got skill. He's got a decent shot on him, but the thing that lets him down is his judgment. He always wants to take that last touch rather than release it, and also his injuries. He hasn't been fit enough.
I heard something the other day that there's been a fallout with Sonny, and if you notice, he never passes him the ball. And I've been watching ever since, and he doesn't really tend to pass him the ball, so maybe they don't get on.
Okay.
Lovers, why does Eric Lamela get such a bad rap?
I think from people I've spoken to, anyone that actually understands football, anyone that's ever played football, doesn't hate Lamela. Anyone that knows football understands the role that he performs for a team. People who are just interested in the silky stuff, who don't understand the off the ball work. He can completely change a game by upping the tempo of the game with just the hard running he does, just a big challenge. It can make such a big difference for a team, and I think it's the main thing. People don't understand the role that he plays in a team.
There's not many players that can impact a game like him, is there? If we're playing really slow and he comes on and he just instantly ups the tempo, doesn't he, with his pressure and his desire. And I don't understand how people can't see that. I mean, even if we keep him as a substitution, I think the problem people have with him is that he isn't Gareth Bale. But then a lot of people in the world aren't Gareth Bale, are they?
I think he lacks a bit of pace as well, and people love speed. Ultimately, in today's game, they love speed, and he does lack a little bit. He lacks a little bit of pace, and when you're playing out on that wing, that's something that people tend to look for, I think. And it's obviously you don't have a right foot either. That's a stranger, isn't it? He can't kick the ball with his right foot. So I'm sure there's a multitude of reasons, but I do think the main thing really is people just don't understand the job that he actually plays for the team.
Yeah, I like the guy. I always have done. I mean, a lot of all over Twitter. I don't know if that's a fair indication of the fan base or just a random selection of nutters, but there's a lot of people that want to see him go. He's been linked to teams in Italy again and going back to Italy, hasn't he? But they're like good riddance and not quick enough and stuff like that. But we'll miss him when he's gone. To be honest.
Oh, definitely. Well, he's the last one of the Magnificent Seven, isn't he?
Cult hero, yeah. I guess
and he still has that passion for playing football and for Tottenham.
I think that came from that injury, didn't it? Maybe.
Yeah. Ericsson lost it.
Yeah.
But
Paulino never had it.
Paulinho, how he ended up at Barcelona, I will never know.
We were saying that the other day, weren't we, Davos?
Yeah.
Right, I know I have to keep saying last question, but this really is the last question. So, Sunday's game, how do you see it going? Do you reckon the players will be on the beach? Have they given up, like post-Champions League final when they didn't win another point? Or do you reckon we'll see a positive response in the cup final where they didn't see a lot of the ball and they've had a bit of criticism for the way they played?
Who's that going to first?
I'll go, you got him. As your mouth open.
If it goes the same way as that we've been seeing all season, I know exactly what will happen. We're going to go out. We're going to probably steamroll I think is it 5 games left now?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, 5 games left, I think. We're probably going to steamroll 4 teams now. We'll put ourselves on the precipice of Champions League football going into the last game with Leicester. There'll be a slim opportunity if we beat Leicester and someone else loses in the final game of us going into the Champions League, and then we'll put in a damp squib of a performance against Leicester and we'll fail to win the game ultimately. I think that's what'll happen. So I think we'll probably go out and score a few goals. Bale might nick a couple of goals. Kane will probably get one. 3 or 4-0 against Sheffield United, I'd say.
Yeah, so I think that's why I see. I mean, they didn't see any of the ball, did they, the other day? I think they'll just be happy not to be playing Man City again, won't they? And there is a kind of a good atmosphere around the camp with Ryan Mason, isn't there? So I think now the pressure's off and it's not a cup final. I think they will put him away quite easily, but it could easily go the other way, couldn't it? On the beach time. Jens, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think there'll be a positive response. I think, as Adam said, last game of the season, there'll be a dodgy Moussaka the night before and we'll all be running off the pitch shitting on the side again.
I think they've gone.
But I think there will be a positive response for the last few games. I'm hoping that some of the players know that they are playing for their futures now. And
also, some of them might be playing their last 5 games, eh?
Exactly. And a kick up the arse might help them get a better club elsewhere or help them win a place in the squad at Tottenham.
You've got the Euros to consider as well. They have few and might want to be getting injured, eh? So they might be sauntering around, not wanting to get injuries.
Yeah, you never know, do you?
And there's talk of one of these protests, isn't there, before the last home game? But I understand it's been moved from the Sunday to the Wednesday. I think there was a big protest planned against Levy and the board for the game, the last home game on the Sunday. But yesterday they announced it had been moved to the Wednesday. So I wonder how that will all play out.
Mr. Levy had a word in someone's ear, obviously.
True that. Lovers, are you going up to the protest? I know Nick and Needham and Gaz are on about heading up there. They're sick of Levy, so I think they're going to go up.
I can't say I'd say much about it. It's not my sort of thing, to be honest with you.
No, you're not going to take a trumpet up and like a funny hat and banner and stuff.
As I say, no, it's not my thing. I don't have that much of a hatred for them to be getting up there doing that. So,
Jens, are you flying over, or do you want me to take an iPad and just carry you around all day and show?
I'll be there with plastic bottles full of urine to throw at Daniel Levy. No worries.
Been carrying that grudge all those years after he chucked you out for the gliding incident, eh? I'll teach you, Levy. Are you going to set him on fire first, though, before you piss on him? Or?
Yeah, why not? Yeah. Go on then.
Levy in flames, looking like Anakin Skywalker again. That's a good way to leave the podcast. Cheers for your time tonight, guys. So we'll try and get Gaz on next time. And if you guys think of any other Spurs fans who are opinionated or would like to have their say on anything, we'll get them involved next week. Hopefully it'll be a weekly thing. I know you guys obviously have time constraints, but we'll try and get a regular thing going. It's been good fun tonight to get your take on a few things which I didn't know your position on them. So it's good to even though I speak to you boys about Spurs all the time, there's some new little tidbits that come out there tonight. Thanks for your time tonight, guys. I'll let you get back to your families and cheers for
my pleasure. Nice to talk to you both.
I hope that you enjoyed. I hope that you enjoyed my Dutch football special.
So how do you just give us his name again before we go? How do you say it in Dutch?
Ten Hag.
And again.
Ten Hag.
Ten Hag.
Yeah.
Up the Spurs, up the Ten Hag.
Come on, Spurs.
Come on,
you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Bye bye.
Cheers, bye.